Namaste. So we read today beautiful prayer of the Mother. All prayers are very, very wonderful. So I have no words actually. Words fail when we speak about the Mother and Sri Aurobindo. And nowhere in the world I can say this with full conviction and awareness, having read almost all the possible scriptural and spiritual literature in India and outside, that there is nowhere a book which contains not only a way of life, but the way of bhakti, the way of service, what truly knowledge is, in very simple but very powerful words as prayers and meditations by the Mother. It is something really amazing. And if you can just read it, sometimes read it and just write a passage or a prayer, it itself becomes a yoga. At least that has been my experience. February 27th, 1914. Now see, she is describing an experience, but all the things that are intertwined with it, people want to find happiness in life. It is a valid need because it is the origin of creation, but it is not happiness but bliss. Happiness is a much lesser state. Still, we want to find happiness in life, and we cannot deny that it is not a valid thing. We can't invalidate it. It is given as a need in man, and whatever is given as a need is valid. But there is a path and a way. So the Mother is teaching us how to find happiness, not just happiness, but infinite happiness. O Lord, I foretaste the infinite happiness, which is the share of those whose life is wholly consecrated to Thee. Just the fact that life is given to the divine brings infinite happiness. Why does it bring? All the roots of unhappiness are struck down. What are the roots of unhappiness? Basically, ego and desire. Ego wants things for its own sake. By service, by love, we step out of that zone. And when it is for the sake of divine, because it's very difficult to sustain it in a human relation, but even in a human relation, if one can truly adopt that attitude, there will be a joy, because love gives joy. But obviously it has limitations, because it is finite. But here, when it is to the divine, then a drop that we can give is, first of all, the infinite mercy of the divine, that He lets us give a little bit. And then in return, He gives an ocean. This is a fact of all who have undertaken the journey. And very often, this is the deepest truth of life which will stand forever. One drop of divine love, and I am sure, whatever be those who are turned to the divine, whatever be our various attachments, let's say human affections, etc. But if a choice is given on a tula, one drop of divine love and all these things, the choice will be spontaneous. Somebody who has tasted a drop of divine love knows what it is. It is incomparable. So she says, those who are consecrated to Thee taste the infinite happiness. It cuts the knot of ego, it cuts the knot of desire. And this does not depend upon outer circumstances. So she is reminding us that this giving, consecrating to the divine service, does not depend upon where we are. Whatever we are doing can be done as an act of consecration. And Sri Aurobindo gives this in detail in the Synthesis of Yoga. He goes on to say even our those activities which are purely mechanical, things like in the morning we go to the washroom, we eliminate things. He says even they can be consecrated to the divine and should be consecrated to the divine. This consecration can go on to, some yogis can do it. Every breath, every heartbeat they can consecrate to the divine. So it is not dependent on outer circumstances, first thing. But upon the state of the being and its more or less of illumination. It is a state which is independent. Sometimes in outside circumstances, because we crave for that contact, so it is done much more easily and readily than when one is surrounded all the while by the grace. One sometimes, forgets to do it because one takes it for granted. But this is the thing to be done all the time. Then she gives another secret. People want to change their circumstances, but change the state of consciousness, then if the circumstances have to change, they will change. It is the great law. Circumstances are results, not causes. So, the circumstances in which we find ourselves is because of the state of consciousness in which we have been. If we change today the state of consciousness, eventually, even the outermost circumstances, they will change. They are bound to change. So she reveals this truth. A perfect consecration to thy law cannot but bring about modification in the mass of circumstances. Means everything in life, the work we may be doing, the place where we may be, the relationships of life, everything is bound to undergo a change. The results that we were receiving, not that one should ever do anything for the sake of result. Even in ordinary life, this is a logic one should follow. When we do things for getting something, it is the worst way of doing something. Because half our energy is diverted towards how I can get this. And it takes away. I remember long back one, now of course cricketer and more than that. So as a child when he used to practice, so he would come and ask me that, I get very tense and nervous. So I asked him the same thing, why do you play? So to score runs, to do this. I said, forget everything, just take joy of play. It's very simple. When we learn to do it, the joy of play, whether you will go into, Ranji Trophy or make it to, it doesn't matter. Take the joy of play. So you get that reward which you are trying to seek through all this rigmarole and end of things. So even logically, when we do things for the sake of result, it is the worst way of doing it. Not that it is nishid, nor ordinary life is like that. But here she is revealing something else. She says even the results, the circumstances, everything is bound to change when we are perfectly consecrated to the divine. But it is not they that allow and express this perfect consecration. So it is not that this change of circumstances, then only I can consecrate myself. Very often people say, oh, I want to come to ashram, I want to, give myself, do this work, that work, but what to do? I have so many, this problem, that problem. Take the right attitude and see how things will change. Even the circumstances will change. So this is what she is revealing. I mean to say that it is not in given circumstances always the same for all that thy law is manifested. For everyone, this manifestation is different according to his temperament. That is to say, according to the mission which is for the time being assigned to him in the physical life. So the circumstances themselves are given to us to develop certain aspects in our own life, certain attitudes, certain kind of temperament which is going to be useful for the future. So because Yudhishthira has to become a king, he has to lose the game of dice. He has to go into the forest, go through all that suffering and hardship, so that when he becomes the king, he really understands what it is. That's why never go to a healer who has never fallen sick. It may sound like a paradox, but he will see you from a distance and prescribe medicine. Because he doesn't know what you really need at a point of time when you are not well. So similarly, those who are born for love for the divine, they will go through many heartaches and heartbreaks. Don't worry about it. Heart is being trained thoroughly to love the divine and the divine alone. Those who are meant to fight, be a warrior for the divine, they will meet the worst challenges of life because they have to become a warrior. Till at one point of time, the divine says, now you are my pakka steel. Can I make a sword out of you? By then you are ready. Doesn't matter. Because you have trained like that. Those who are born for wisdom, they will meet the most impossible situations in life. Why? Because wisdom is the only one which can resolve these issues harmoniously. So when circumstances are given for each one, they are according to the divine law and the line which we are born to manifest. They will not be like everybody is in the same circumstance situation. But we must know how to make use of them through the right attitude. But what is invariable and general? So, though the outer circumstances will be according to the divine law, but what is invariable and general is the happy peace, the luminous and immutable serenity of all those who are solely consecrated to Thee. This is very simple. One step test. If one is consecrated to the divine, one will be in a state of peace and joy. If there is depression, reverse, agitation, restlessness, then something is amiss. Very simple. There is a barometer given within us that all is well. If we are depressed, all is not well. There is some corner which is completely dark, which is holding back, which is reserved in its surrender, which is not yet surrender, that has to open to the light and give itself. Who have no longer in them any darkness, any ignorance, any egoistic attachment, any bad will. So why does darkness come? Why the dark corners are there where there is a curling up? We want to hide something from the divine. Not that the divine will not see. He will point our finger. See, can you see there? There is nothing. It's in those people, Lord, I am fine. Don't you see how good I am? Problem is in that other person. So Lord will say, that other person is not my responsibility right now. Universal nature is taking care. But you just see there. No, nothing. See, I'm very nice, Lord. I never do any wrong. Again he will say, see carefully. And if we hide it, one day he will puncture it and it will come out. Then you will say, thank God you did it for me. Divine surgery. And there is so much relief and release. Then egoistic attachment. All suffering is because of that. Suffering that comes from people is basically because of egoistic attachment. If you really analyze it. Egoistic attachment means that, see, there are two kinds of love. One is the surface love. Surface love is based on that. It is based on the reactions, responses. You did this to me, okay. I am going to react now. So this is how surface emotions work. They are like waves in which we are caught. So momentarily there is love, and during that moment, everything is yours. Next moment he says, I don't care. No, you are the worst person in the world. So it just seesaws on the surface. But in the depth, as Mother says so beautifully, bitterness is on the surface. It is an illusion. There is sweetness in every heart. So if you go behind the surface, you will see there is nothing but love. But for that, we have to get rid of the egoistic attachment. Egoistic attachment means all this. My ego should be satisfied. It must be fulfilled. It must be assuaged. If not, I don't care about you. So egoistic attachment. And then she says, any bad will. This is the worst thing. Bad will is, unfortunately, there is so much bad will in the world. Much of it is not conscious. Fortunately, Mother says that much of it is, but unconsciously. And it takes even the form of ignorant goodwill is a bad will. She says, for example, people see you and say, what happened to you? So you don't know, you say, why? You look like, have you lost weight? Are you all right? You are looking yellow. I don't know what colors. So when they see and say, you are looking yellow, I say, you are color blind. I am perfectly... Yellow of the jaundice is to be seen below the upper eyelid, by the way. Medical gyan thoda sa. It's not seen on the body. If it is seen on the body, that means Yamraj is knocking at the door. You are looking yellow. So maybe you have applied turmeric or whatever. That's the only logical reason. There is no other logical reason. Yellow of jaundice is seen below the upper eyelid. That's just an aside. But people say that. Why you want to see us sick? It's an ignorant bad will. And lot of bad will like that. And there is a conscious bad will, which is very dangerous. May this happen to you. May this harm come to you. There are people like that who have this kind of tendency. Yet they actually, unfortunately, unwittingly, call it upon themselves. Especially if the person is turned toward the divine, it's very dangerous. But fortunately, those who are turned toward the divine will absorb it inside because they know it will harm you. So if you throw a bad will on somebody who is consciously turned to the divine, he'll not let it go back to you. He will, like Shiva, drink it and pass it on to the Lord. Go through the pain and suffering rather than giving it back. But one is freed of one's own bad will. There is only goodwill. Why goodwill? Because ultimately at the end of the day, सब उसके बंदे हैं. All are, even she has gone on to say, when we criticize somebody, it is one form of bad will. What does it mean? It means I am criticizing the divine. And see, in the world there is so much, this world is so horrible, why you made this horrible world? Just imagine somebody tells us, we have made a little painting, or my example, writing a poem. Poem अच्छी है, there are 3 words where there are defects. Or not even that. Some people don't even talk about poem अच्छी है. That word, it's a error. It should be. Now, what has happened? So obviously, it is not about the poem, it's about the writer, isn't it? So when we say the world is so horrible, and that too after knowing Sri Aurobindo, because we know world is in the making. If it is a finished product, it is horrible. Agreed. But he himself has said, I am making it. No, wait for some time. Come participate. Have the joy of being a participant, collaborator. Be a shareholder, stakeholder. So that is so wonderful. And have the joy of the ras hereafter. But instead of that, when we criticize human being, what we are doing? We are criticizing the divine. So she says we should be free from all this. Then we will have always a state of peace and joy. February 27, 1914, just to read it again. O Lord, I foretaste the infinite happiness which is the share of those whose life is wholly consecrated to Thee. And this does not depend upon outer circumstances, but upon the state of the being and its more or less of illumination. Her outer circumstances are going to change drastically after this, incidentally. But this is her own state she is describing. What else? A perfect consecration to Thy law cannot but bring about modifications in the mass of circumstances. But it is not they that allow and express this perfect consecration. It's not that one has to wait for this change to take place, for the perfect consecration. I mean to say that it is not in given circumstances always the same for all that Thy law is manifested. So it will not be that the circumstances have to be the same for everybody for the law to be manifested. So some people would think that, only by being in the ashram, then only I can give. No, wherever you are, give. If then you are destined to come here, then that will happen. If not, doesn't matter. Wherever we are, we can offer. Who can prevent us from offering ourselves to the divine? For everyone, this manifestation is different according to his temperament. That is to say, according to the mission which is for the time being assigned to him in the physical life. So depending upon that, the circumstances are given. Look at Gadadhar ji. Anybody knows who is Gadadhar ji? Who became a priest in the Kali temple. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahans, as a child. And Rani Rasmani, she wanted to make a temple, or rather she wanted to go for Kali Darshan. And Mother Kali came to him and said, you make it here. Oh, who will come and do the puja? You don't worry, it is being arranged. So that first person was somebody else, then he came in. And then look at, what happened afterwards. So we think that it is the circumstances. Living in that place, which was a new temple, otherwise Mother Kali, she wanted to go somewhere else, I have forgotten the name, for having the darshan of Kali and renovate that temple. It doesn't matter, Kali will come here. It is something so beautiful, even in everyday life. If I cannot go to you, you can always come. What prevents you from coming to me? It's a real experience I can share. Once I wanted to go to Sri Aurobindo's room, but one day before my birthday, and I went and requested, no, we allow only on birthdays. In front of me, there were 2 people who were allowed, but instead of all that, I said, doesn't matter. I sat below in the meditation room and I literally prayed to Mother. I said, I cannot go. So many hassles, rules, but you surely can come. And that experience that followed, I can't even describe. Going to the room, I would not have such an experience as it happened then. So it doesn't matter. He will come. If we have that Ahilya, the divine comes to her. So we must understand that. That is to say, according to the mission which is for the time being assigned to him in the physical life. For the time being, that also we should remember. But what is invariable and general is the happy peace, the luminous and immutable serenity of all those who are solely consecrated to thee, who have no longer in them any darkness, any ignorance, any egoistic attachment, any bad will. Oh, may all awake to this divine peace. Oh, may all awake to this divine peace. So, the sign that we have really consecrated ourselves is infinite happiness and peace. Namaste.